Right, exactly.
So,
Like, for example, software patches or anything related to IT even that needs to be considered when you lock down the Agile system. Yeah.
right. So if you want to add a field here, add a process there, make sure that that's taken care of before you start this project.
Right. And for those on the phone, the project ran through the Christmas holidays, so that was very interesting to get everyone involved during the holiday time frame.
Right.
As far as what you could have done differently or better on this project.
Well, as I said, I would have, made sure that the critical changes would be done before the project starts.
Mm-hmm.
That would be number one, and then make sure that everybody's schedule is up to date every month or every 15 days. I would ask around to the team that, hey, have you put in for any vacation? Have you put in for anything like that?
Right.
So that would I would do it, going forward.
Holidays.
Holidays, yeah.
And then as far as improvements that you made since Go Live, I know that you touched on this question on the previous slide, but if you can just elaborate more on that.
Sure. Basically, what we have done is we already had a very good system in place, but we have a completely automated system of tracking all the changes, hardware, software, configuration, or any process or documentation or SOPs. We keep track of everything in a very validated state, and we want to make sure that every time there is a change to something, we either do a delta validation, so we can understand, okay, we are changing a process, so now we have to go through a little bit of OQ or PQ. If you're changing something in the hardware, then we need to make sure that the IQ portion is done. So that's definitely is now everybody is very much aware. So the level of awareness and the perception of the system has changed from the user perspective. And we want to make sure that we are always on top of the changes, and the system is always validated. So that's why this whole process is put in place, and everybody has bought into that. So that's a very good thing.
Right. Everyone was well educated during the 4 months that we were there, so now you're much more knowledgeable on how to maintain a validated state. So that's great to hear.
Right.
And as far as your future compliance roadmap, can you elaborate on your plans and visions for PLM and other enterprise systems for compliance?
Right. We are basically, looking at, let's say, adding a new functionality, making the processes agile and others more efficient, removing the complexity from the process. So we want to make sure that we introduce new modules for that, and we do a validation against those new functionality and the requirements by doing enough risk assessment.
Right.
And we have other systems, so we will definitely, once we stabilize, we catch our breath, then we'll look into a lot of other stuff. So.
Right. Great. Well, that concludes our webinar for today, and I welcome any questions at this point from the audience. You can post your questions on the chat as well. Becky, do you see any questions from the audience? I don't see any here.
Yeah, I think there is one.
There's one.
How many software environments did you have? Dev, integration, validation? Please elaborate. Do you run the validation protocol in production also? Well, basically, what we were advised is we have several environments, but the validation was done. Is basically you're supposed to do it in a QA. So what you do is you mirror the environment to look like production, and then you basically lock everything down, and everything is frozen. And from that point, it is validated.
That's correct. Yeah, I think the question was directed to you, Mihir, which is why I couldn't see it. Any other questions from the audience? If you have any questions after the webinar, if you have other meetings to attend, you can always post them on the LinkedIn on our website. And the webinar is recorded, so you can, if you happen to miss the first half, you can view this at your own accord. So, any questions? All right, well then I'll wrap this up. Thank you, Mihir, for joining us on this compliance webinar series. We appreciate your time and sharing your experiences.
You're welcome, Melinda.
So just to let the audience know, our next PLM webinar series will be held on June 15th. We hope you can join us. You can register for this and other events on the USDM website. And follow us on Twitter. And please share your suggestions and so we can improve our webinars. We're building content for you. It's an educational process, so it's very important that we get any suggestions that you may have. All right, well, thank you again for joining us today, and we hope to see you at the next webinar.
Okay, thank you.